Good morning. I don't want to speak up right now. I don't feel like I have the legal ability to do so, even though legal means nothing. But our response has to be, and what we're taught is, that if you stay silent in the face of tyranny, at the end of the day, you will get harmed as well. They will come for you. And I'm not talking about the Jewish community, because we know that we end up getting targeted every time minorities are targeted. Every time a group is targeted, they're coming for all of us. But I'm talking even to the people who think you are safe. I have a surprise for you. You are not. None of us are safe. But more importantly right now, I hate everything I spent the last 2 minutes talking about. And what I mean by that is I listen to people saying, oh, they're going to come for us if we don't speak up. They already came for our people. They already arrested a powerful leader for the sin of speaking up. It's not about what's happening next. It's about what happened Saturday on the campus of Columbia University. Yes, we're all in danger, but most importantly right now, they have been coming for our Palestinian siblings for months and years. And that should be enough for all of us to speak up. Together, I'm just going to repeat the same words that Mordechai says in the book of Esther. I believe that the people are being targeted. At the end of the day, we're going to fight together. We're going to be okay. I'm terrified of what we might lose on the way. But together, looking at each and every one of you, they're not going to win. They're not going to win, because I know and feel that we will keep fighting. They might try, they might attempt. In the end, while we know that our safety rests in solidarity with all people who are oppressed, occupied, killed, and massacred, and we in our safety rest with the people who speak up for every injustice that happens. Thank you all so much for being here, and free Mahmud Khalil! We're so much stronger when we're united, when we come together. We're so much stronger when we stand shoulder to shoulder, because we share a cause for justice, and we share these values that we are defending. We're so much stronger when we come together. Now, our next speaker is a leader in the Muslim community. It's my great honor to welcome Sheikh Badawi, the religious director of the Math Youth Center in Brooklyn, to the stage. Let's make some noise for Sheikh Badawi.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, I begin in the name of Allah, Almighty God, the King of Kings and the Creator of all things. And I ask Him to send these timeless choices, peace and blessings upon our dear beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah, Almighty God, tells us in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kunu qawwamina bil qisti shuhada'a lillah. O people of faith, be those who consistently stand up for the truth all the time. Be of those who stand up for justice all the time. Be witnesses before God Almighty, even if it is against yourselves, or your family members, or your kin, or your countrymen, because injustice is injustice all the time. And it should be spoken out against all the time. And that core principle of our faith is the only reason that Mahmud Khalil was targeted, was abducted in the middle of the night in an extrajudicial arrest, thrown into an unknown place, thinking that that will make people like me and you afraid to speak up. Are you afraid? They think by doing this that people like me and you will think twice about what we have to lose. Are you thinking twice? Because I know that I'm not afraid and I don't think twice, because it is a fundamental core of my faith to stand up against tyranny and injustice, whatever the source may be, even if it is for myself. And Mahmud Khalil is a iconic moment in this movement, because it shows us that they will unravel their web by their own hands. They will bring down these diseased temples by their own hands, because now they've shown the world that for Palestinians like Mahmud Khalil, it is nothing strange to be abducted in the middle of the night. It is nothing strange to leave a heavily pregnant wife behind, not knowing where your whereabouts are. It is nothing strange to expect your first child to be born while you are in a prison cell. How many tens of thousands of Palestinians, that is their story, that the first time they meet their parents is after decades when they are released from prison. It is the Israeli government and their cronies here in the US, from the Democrats and the Republicans, that are showing us live in our own country in front of us that if you are a Palestinian or standing up for Palestinian rights like Mahmud Khalil, then it doesn't matter if you do everything correct. It doesn't matter if you file all the permits. It doesn't matter if you are perfectly legal. It doesn't matter if you break no laws. They will come for you. The moment that you stand up against this illegitimate occupation and all the diseased system that props it up, they will come for you. And are you afraid? They used to tell a fable as a lesson, and I'm sure you'll find the conclusion before I get to the end, but I'll say it anyway because that's what preachers do, right? It's a story about three bulls, a white, a red, and a black bull. And they're large animals with horns, and they're together in a herd. So the lion comes up to them, wishing to hunt them, and they push him away. They attack him. They defend themselves, they resist. A very logical, you don't need any religion to tell you that you resist in the face of oppression. That you have the right to self-defense. That by hook or crook you demand your rights, you take them. You don't wait for your oppressor to give it to you by crumbs. So when he sees their united front, he retreats and approaches the white bull on his own. And he tells him, these bulls are a different color. These bulls don't have your best interest at heart. And he continues to work on him until he separates himself from the herd and he is eaten the next day. They wake up the next day, they notice that there's two of them, and they stay silent. So he goes to the black bull, and he does the same thing. And then when the third morning comes, and the red bull is on his own, he sees the lion approach smiling. And he tells himself, I was eaten, I was on the menu the day that you ate the first bull. That's all of us. That's all of us if we watch Mahmud Khalil and do nothing. That's all of us if we go back football and shopping on Amazon and all this nonsense that they want to distract us with. That is all of us if we stay silent, if we're afraid today. So I ask you again, are you afraid? No. Will you go home? Will you forget Mahmud Khalil? No. At what point will you stop when there is a free Palestine? And even then, there's still the Congo. There's still Turkmenistan. There's still every single iota of injustice in this world, because that is why we are here. Because God Almighty told us, O people of faith, be of those who consistently stand up for the sake of justice, stand in the face of oppression, be witnesses before God Almighty, even if it is against yourself or your countrymen or everything that surrounds you, even if you are alone. Because it is not about self-preservation. It is not about the fact that they may come for me that makes me stand up here. It is the fact that it is my right before God Almighty and my fellow human beings, specifically my brothers and sisters in Palestine, my brothers and sisters in faith, the bond that supersedes every nationality, every single law. Because they've shown us over and over again that these laws mean nothing. They're made to protect them and not us. So, tell yourselves very strongly, with the strongest determination that you've ever had, that this is only the beginning. We pray for Mahmud Khalil and his family, and we demand his immediate release. I thank all of you for coming here, and I ask God Almighty to establish justice for the Palestinian people and all over the world. And thank you. Wassalamu alaikum.
Thank you, man.
Up with liberation!
Up with liberation!
Down with deportation!
Down with deportation!
Up with liberation!
Up with liberation!
Down with occupation!
Down with occupation!
Up with liberation!
Down with deportation! Up with liberation! Down with occupation!
We're gonna do it again next time. We're gonna jump. So the lawyers right now are inside. They just got started, and we're gonna be here outside until they come out and let us know what happened in there. Is that right? Our next speaker exemplifies this, that in the face of injustice, in the face of these disgusting policies that take away our people in the middle of the night, we don't stay silent, we don't back down, and we fight back. Please help me in welcoming AZ Alkmaar from the New York Immigration Coalition. Let's make some noise.
It's a cheat code for me.
What do we do? When trans people are under attack, what do we do? When black people are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When Mahmud Khalil is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
With that, good morning, New York. My name is AZ Alkmaar, my pronouns are they, them, and I have the honor of being the Director of Organizing and Strategy at the New York Immigration Coalition. Most importantly, something that I cannot leave the stage without saying is that I'm a naturalized citizen. I am an immigrant of Jamaica. And I'm here to show you what immigration looks like, right? Like, I want to make sure that y'all see all types of immigrants today. And that you all
Yeah. Oh, can you get it? Let's hold it up. Whoa.
right?
be you too, right? If he can get taken from his home for being vocal, for being here, for speaking up, that can happen to any one of us. And understand that I get that we're scared, but this is not the time to back down, right? This is the time to make sure that this happens to no one else.
Yeah.
And if they're coming for this community first, understand they're coming for the other one next. Whether that's black people, disabled people, trans people, queer people, they've been coming for all of us for decades. We're not new to this, we're true to this, right? So when I say, what do we do when Mahmud Khalil is under attack? What do we do? I urge y'all to remember that when I leave this stage.
Gotta watch him.
You could be him too.
Gotta watch this dude.
And intersectionality matters.
His reputation precedes him.
How are you, man?
I'm glad to see you here.
Too. That way I don't have to cover all this. Well, I don't know about
Let's give
that.
it up for this one more time!
I'm live right now, so they're just going to record stuff. And Roselle will put an edit out of this shortly. Is Roselle still there?
Now all of our movements
I'll see you before the
are
end of the
united.
day.
We're all progressive movements. We're all fighting for the right for people to live in dignity, to live in freedom, to have freedom of speech, to live in freedom from the fear of bombs falling on their heads in Gaza,
No, because I can hear you.
and to live here with basic necessities and needs met instead of having our money spent billions of dollars on murdering people abroad. And when we take a stand against this, when we speak out, when we protest, the Trump administration comes back and tries to silence us, and we won't be silent. Now the movement for Palestine, the movement for full rights for all immigrants has been united from day one. And right now is the time for all of us to keep coming together in the streets for as long as it takes. And our next speaker has been a leader in the Palestine movement, has been out in the streets since the start of the genocide against the Palestinian people, has been speaking out incessantly for Gaza in as loud of a voice as possible. Please make some noise for Lena from Palo Alto.
Good afternoon, everyone. What we're seeing today, what we saw last week on Saturday, is an empire in crisis.
Yeah.
An empire that's using all of its tools to suppress a movement that has garnered support from millions of people around the world. It's a movement that has made clear that what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in the West Bank, is a direct reflection of the values that we espouse here in the United States in the belly of the beast. That what's happening in Gaza, the genocide, is a direct consequence of U.S. imperialism and capitalism. And that's why the movement for Palestine is so terrifying. That's why the capitalist class is doing everything in its power to silence it, to stop us. But all of you here today are evidence that they have failed and they will keep failing. And although this may be new to some of us, depending on how old we are, this isn't new in the history of the U.S. empire. It's what they did when they bombed a home in Philadelphia in 1985 belonging to black activists.
Yay.
It's what they did in 2017 when they deported Rasmiya Oda, a naturalized U.S. citizen.
Yay.
Because when an empire is in crisis, when capitalism is in crisis, it will use every strategy, legal or illegal, to repress the people, calling out all of the contradictions. To the people standing up for the most marginalized, to the people saying we will not be silenced. They will be called terrorists, like Rasmiya Oda, like Mahmud Khalil, and the law will be changed to criminalize their conduct. So it doesn't matter, really, whether Mahmud Khalil, and I'm saying this as a lawyer, right? I'm standing here in my suit because I just came from court, actually. I'm not just trying to flex on y'all. But anyways, it doesn't matter whether he was a green card holder, a legal permanent resident, or a naturalized citizen. We know that, right? We know that when ICE agents came to his home, they thought he had a student visa. They said, we're going to revoke your student visa. Then they found out he was a green card holder. They made a quick phone call, and they decided that they were going to try to revoke his green card. Because at the end of the day, the law does not matter. The law does not matter. So unlike my brother over there, the sheikh, who told you not to be afraid, I'm not going to tell you not to be afraid. I think people are afraid right now, and it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid. But what I am going to tell you, like my brother, is don't stop fighting. You can be afraid, but you cannot stop fighting. You can be afraid, you can feel afraid, you can plan and organize around that, but do not stop fighting. Do not go home. Do not stop coming into the streets. Because it's the least we can do. It's what we owe to Mahmud, it's what we owe to Rasmiya Oda, it's what we owe to all of our undocumented comrades here in the US. It's what we owe to the people of Palestine, who have sacrificed everything. The people of Palestine have sacrificed everything, not only to liberate themselves, but to liberate us. So it's not only our duty to fight for the people of Palestine, it's not only our duty to fight for Mahmud Khalil, it is our honor. It is an honor to fight for the people of Palestine. And you know what? They're more afraid than us. They're more afraid than us. We're afraid, we can be a little afraid, but we're gonna still keep coming out. They are more afraid than us. And that is why they're doing everything they're doing. That is why they detained Mahmud Khalil. So are we going to stop coming out?
No.
Are we going to stop fighting?
No.
Are we going to stay on the streets?
Yeah.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Thank you.
All right, let's try this again. When I say release Mahmud, you say right now. Release Mahmud!
Right now!
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 Make some noise! You ready to stay out here? You ready to make Foley Square your new home? Yeah? Yeah, me too. We're ready to stay out here, and we're not gonna be silent. The reasons that the Trump administration are trying to silence us, that they're attacking us, are totally invalid. They're a total scam. They're trying to weaponize anti-Semitism against us. But let's take a look at the Trump administration. Let's look real close at the people who are calling everyone else anti-Semites. Their administration is composed of white supremacist billionaires. Elon Musk didn't earn his money. Elon Musk's money came from mines in South Africa. Elon Musk is a white supremacist. All of those people in the Trump administration are anti-Semites. And what we're calling for is freedom, justice, and dignity for all of our people. All of our people. For immigrants, for the people in Gaza, and for all of us right here in Foley Square. It sounds like they're actually about to come out right now. Who wants to hear what the lawyers have to say?
Where are they moving it to? Where did she say they were moving it to? Sorry, guys.
By that Lafayette Street sign, yeah.
How many do you want?
Excuse me, guys. Okay.
She was in line, supposedly. There was a photo of her. Ladies and gentlemen, the sidewalk has to stay clear, otherwise they're going to clear everybody out.
The lawyers are going right there.
Let the microphone
Clear the mics, everybody! Out of the way of the mics,
guys.
please.
No matter where you stand on genocide, freedom of speech is something that...
Can you hold the mic? This is more important than any of this. Sorry. Thank you so much.
So no matter where you stand on genocide, freedom of speech is an issue, is a right that we all have. And this is a turning point in the history and the freedom of this country.
Thank you so much. Speak up!
I need this area clear. Everybody, can we take 2 to 4 steps back? They need a little bit of space at the microphones, please.
That's okay. I'm with the legal people.
I'm going to sit right here.
Raise up that hand.
All the way past the tables, all the way down.
Lexi, where's Lexi?
I'm right here. Right in front of you.
Can you let Visa know to send the thing?
I can't. I don't have enough hands. Push on your back. Where's it going? Where's it going?
That's the speaker over there.
Everyone, can we make a little bit of space?
Yeah, Rich, we all have live channels here. I get that. I get that. I get that. Get the fuck out of my face. Let me go to my side.
Are you in touch with somebody? You can get them to...
I did tell them, but let me do it now again. We need quiet. Alright, now let me open up my program. I should introduce myself.
Introduce you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to start, yeah?
Yeah. When you tell me, I'm ready to start.
I just want them to be quiet so that...
I'm just introducing you all.
I just
ask them to project.
Okay.
We'll do our best.
Okay. Ready?
Oh, okay.
Just project.
They're gonna quiet down.
Yeah.
All right.
Just project.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Abir Kawas. I am the Associate Director of Partnerships at CLEAR, and I will be getting us through the program today. Thank you all for being here. We have a number of speakers here to provide updates and statements of support regarding Mahmud Khalil's case. Mahmud's attorneys are here to provide updates and a brief statement from Mahmud's wife. Attorneys will be taking questions at the end. So we'll be starting with our first speaker, Ramzi Qasim. He is the co-director and founding director of CLEAR, Creating Law Enforcement Accountability and Responsibility. He's a professor of law at the City University of New York and part of Mahmud's legal team. Welcome, Ramzi.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As we try to make clear in court today, what happened to Mahmud Khalil is nothing short of extraordinary and shocking and outrageous. It should outrage anybody who believes that speech should be free in the United States of America. Mr. Khalil is a lawful permanent resident. He was coming home with his U.S. citizen wife, who is 8 months pregnant, and he was taken by U.S. government agents in retaliation, essentially, for exercising his First Amendment rights, for speaking up in defense of Palestinians in Gaza and beyond, for being critical of the U.S. government and of the Israeli government. Those are the reasons why he was targeted. Those are the reasons why he was detained. And that's the reason why the government also moved him to Louisiana in further retaliation for the fact that on the night of his arrest at home, he filed a habeas corpus petition in this court, which he also had a constitutional right to do. In retaliation for that, he was moved to Louisiana to take him away from his lawyers, to take him away from accessing this court, to take him away from his family and his support network. And so every day that Mahmud spends in detention in Louisiana is a day too long. We and he fully intend to vindicate not just his First Amendment rights, but those of all Americans, frankly, and all lawful permanent residents, and anybody who wants to speak out. It simply cannot be the case that you can be disappeared at night off the streets of New York City simply because the current U.S. government, the current administration at the White House dislikes what you have to say. That is, not just un-American, it's also unacceptable. And so Mr. Khalil and we will fight as hard as we need to in court to bring him home to New York City as soon as possible, and that's one of the motions that is now pending before this court. It is a motion to bring him back home and to free him so that he can fight this removal case.
Ramzi, why did you not take the judge's invitation to argue the merits?
So we won't be answering questions right now, but
can you just tell us just how unprecedented something like this is? Can you just talk about that?
Look, this.
No questions yet.
Okay, so I'll just say this and I'll step back. It is absolutely unprecedented. The grounds that are being cited by the government for purportedly claiming to revoke his green card and putting him in removal proceedings. This is a person who is a lawful permanent resident. This is a U.S. person. Those grounds are vague. They are rarely used, and essentially they are a form of punishment and retaliation for the exercise of free speech. We think it won't fly in federal court. We think it won't fly in immigration court, and it certainly should not fly in the court of public opinion.
Why not raise that today? The judge gave you the option.
All right. Thank you, Ramzi. Next, I'd like to introduce Bahid Azmi, the legal director of the Center of Constitutional Rights, also a member of Mahmud's legal team.
Can you spell your name, please?
Bahir Azmi, B-A-H-E-R, A-Z-M-Y, from the Center for Constitutional Rights. Mr. Khalil's detention has nothing to do with security. It is only about repression. The United States government has taken the position that it can arrest, detain, and seek to deport a lawful permanent resident exclusively because of his peaceful, constitutionally protected activism. In this case, activism in support of Palestinian human rights and an end to the genocide in Gaza. The government takes the position that because the Secretary of State finds his dissent unacceptable or contrary to U.S. foreign policy, he can be deported. As Ramzi suggested, it's largely unprecedented, save for ugly historical precedents, including in the Red Scare and McCarthyism. That's what we're talking about. We're also talking about a period of repression that the Center for Constitutional Rights knows well following 9/11, when we were in the courts trying to get people out of secret detention. One thing that's different now is the legal infrastructure is so much stronger, and everyone out here on the streets knows that we cannot hide in the face of this amount of repression. We will be fighting in the courts and fighting in the streets to bring Mahmud home and prevent this level of repression from spreading to many others, as the administration has threatened to do.
Why not argue the merits in court today, sir? The judge invited repeatedly.
Thank you, Bahid. Now we'll hear from Professor Joseph Howley, an associate professor at Columbia University.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Howley, Howley, and I'm an associate professor of classics at Columbia University. The last time I spoke at a press conference was April 18th. That day, police officers in crowd control gear entered our campus for the first time in decades and carried off dozens of students who were peacefully and quietly encamped on one of the enclosed lawns in front of our library, threatening no one. As I watched this unfold in horror, I was asked to speak at an emergency press conference alongside Mahmud, who had just been asked to negotiate on behalf of the encampment. It is always dangerous to speak in public for Palestinian rights, safety, and freedom with your face uncovered and your name declared. You can be sure you will be harassed, doxxed, terrorized. People will try to get you fired from your job. For speaking here, I will receive a new round of death threats, slander, complaints to my employer. When I step down from here, I will publish these remarks to protect me from the inevitable attempts to misrepresent my words. And Mahmud, as a student negotiator, took these same risks and many more. Mahmud is a man of decency, honor, and kindness. He has distinguished himself in his work as an advocate and negotiator, as someone committed to peaceful resolution of difficult situations. He is a consummate diplomat in his disposition and his character. What the Trump government is doing to Mahmud is obscene. It is unreasonable, intolerable, unconstitutional. So why do they think they can get away with it? The Trump administration is betting that Americans will happily look the other way as one more Palestinian is victimized here on American soil. They are betting that when you hear Mahmoud's name or the word Palestinian, the parts of you that make you a thinking and rational and caring person will switch off, and you will believe the worst about him, and you will turn a blind eye to these grave violations of his rights. And after what I've seen over the last year and a half, I'm not sure they're wrong. Anti-Palestinian groups have spent all year casually leveling the most dangerous accusations on the flimsiest grounds, and members of our own community have repeated them. Don't like seeing a kafia? Call them a terrorist and call the cops. Don't like their views? Call them anti-Semitic and get them expelled. Don't like that your Jewish colleague has the chutzpah to say free Palestine? Report him for Jew hatred to a university task force. Don't like seeing a broad and diverse movement of courageous young people standing together against the ethnic cleansing of Gaza? Call your friends in the government and send the feds to their door. As an educator, it disgusts me that anyone who wants to be taken seriously in association with a university would deal so ignorantly with language and truth. But more than that, I am ashamed as a Jewish person that this kind of slander has found currency in some parts of my own community in service of the racist and anti-Semitic Trump agenda. Trump's claim that this atrocity combats anti-Semitism is insulting. We will not take lectures on anti-Semitism from segregationists and neo-Nazis. We will not allow a white supremacist president and his party to claim the mantle of Jewish safety as they shred the Constitution and spin outlandish legal theories to justify the suppression of dissent and the brutalization of those who oppose war and apartheid. One of the most insidious forms of prejudice toward Jews is the trope of dual allegiance, which suggests that we Jews, because of our ethnicity or religion, have secret political commitments at odds with the communities we live in, that we are not to be trusted, that you should always believe the worst about us. When Donald Trump sneers at globalists, this is what he means. And when I see people unquestioningly trafficking in the wildest assertions about Mahmud just because he is Palestinian, I hear the exact same kind of prejudice that drove generations of my own family from their homes in Europe. Anyone who spread the lies about Mahmud that resulted in his detention should be ashamed. And if you find yourself believing whatever someone tells you about Mahmud just because he is Palestinian or because he spoke up against a murderous war that you somehow still support, I can only implore you to scrutinize your own soul. Why are we here? Because we want our friend back. But we are also here because what happens to Mahmud could happen to any of us. If they can strip the green card from a lawful permanent resident, they can do whatever they want to a citizen. If you're waiting for permission to think of this as a crisis, here it is. What has been done to Mahmud goes far beyond whether or not you agree with the cause of Palestinian liberation. Where exactly are we in the poem that begins, "When they came for the communists, I did not speak out"? Well, they've already come for the asylum seekers. They've come for the migrant families. Now they've come for Mahmud Khalil. It's not a very long poem. So how far down the list do you think you are? I've been proud to stand as a Jew beside Mahmud Khalil and call for a free and just and peaceful Israel-Palestine. It is my honor now to stand before you and call on what remains of the United States government to do the right thing and free Mahmud Khalil. Thank you.
Hi, all. Next, we'll have Joshua Draytel from the law firm representing Mahmud.
And this is also on behalf of Amy Greer, who's in our firm, who has handled this case and will continue to handle this case, but unfortunately could not be here today. And the principles at issue in this case are, of course, of extraordinary importance, and my colleagues have laid that out here and in court. But as important as those principles are, our commitment to the case, the whole team's commitment to the case, and Amy's commitment to this case is also about the human being, Mahmud Khalil. He is a person who is loved, who is respected, who has earned that through his conduct and his commitment to his community and to all of us. We thank the people beyond the cameras who are here for their support, and we appreciate it, Mahmud appreciates it, and ultimately the rest of this country and the world will appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Professor Nadia Al-Hedge, a professor of anthropology at Barnard and Columbia.
Hello, my name is Nadia Al-Hedge. Last name is Abuelhaj. So how did we get here? How did we get to the point where Mahmud Khalil, a mild-mannered and thoughtful Palestinian political activist, a legal permanent resident of the U.S. who has not been charged, let alone convicted of a crime, can be picked up outside his home and shipped to a Louisiana detention center? That the Secretary of State and the President can name him as the first of many who will be rounded up and deported for what is, in fact, political dissent. This is a witch hunt of an order we have not seen since the McCarthy era. Then the archetypal threat to America was the allegedly communist Jew. Now it is the allegedly anti-Semitic Palestinian. But lest the Democratic Party feel self-satisfied as the Republican administration takes a sledgehammer to our basic constitutional rights, this did not begin 2 months ago. Beginning in the fall of 2023, most Democrats at local, state, and national levels joined in the maligning of Palestinian and pro-Palestinian demonstrators. They labeled the movement anti-Semitic, as operating in support of terrorism, ignoring the reality on the ground to which these students were responding. The urgency that you saw, the rage even, of student demonstrators last year was driven by a commitment to the urgency of the situation, the need to stop the genocide in Gaza. The Democrats, however, crawled into bed with MAGA Republicans quite clearly in congressional hearings that began in the fall of 2023, when university presidents began to be hauled before the committee, as if the hearings were actually about anti-Semitism. the party of Charlottesville, the party of Nazi salutes and support for Germany's neo-Nazi party, the AfD, is not concerned with anti-Semitism. And no Democrat that has aligned with them can be taken seriously on that front. Insofar as you, our Democratic politicians, continue to refer to Mahmoud Khalil's speech as abhorrent, presumably while defending his right to say what he does, that is, presumably while defending his right to be abhorrent, you are part of the problem. Stop demonizing student activists who are demonstrating to save Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank from ethnic cleansing and total annihilation. Stop replicating the crimes of McCarthyism. And here I mean not just the criminalization of certain forms of political speech. More fundamentally, I mean stop replicating the crime of demonizing an entire group of people as dangerous, as a threat, as abhorrent even. Then it was Jews, now it's Palestinians. Free Mahmoud now and stop the witch hunt against other students.
Thank you, Professor. Next, I'd like to bring up Shaza Aboushi Dalal, one of the staff attorneys at CLEAR, who will be reading a statement by Mahmoud's wife.
Hi everyone, my name is Shaza Aboushi Dalal, that's SHEZA-ABBOUSHI-DALLAL. I am a staff attorney with the CLEAR project and one of Mahmoud Khalil's attorneys, and I will be reading a statement on behalf of Mahmoud Khalil's wife, who does not wish to be named. My husband was kidnapped from our home, and it's shameful that the United States government continues to hold him because he stood for the rights and lives of his people. I demand his immediate release and return to our family. His disappearance has devastated our lives. Every day without him is filled with uncertainty, not just for me, but for our entire family and community. Our loved ones are struggling with the pain and fear of his sudden absence. And yet, we are not alone. So many who know and love Mahmoud have come together, refusing to stay silent. Their support is a testament to his character and to the deep injustice of what is being done to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaza. We're going to bring up some of Mahmoud's legal team to answer questions for you all. I will be calling on the people and letting you all know who will go first. Okay, questions?
Mr. Hass.
How long can they hold him? Let's say if you don't bring the agents to say he doesn't, like what is the procedure?
Repeat the question.
You need to, sorry, you need to, you step back and can you step close to the, both of you close to the microphone?
He's already asked the question. Let's get somebody else.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Okay, how long can they hold him? How long can they hold him?
Look, we are seeking to bring him back. We're seeking to have him released. And we're going to do that whether it's in federal court or an immigration court. There are limits to how long a person can be held in immigration court. But frankly, that's irrelevant because we are going to ask for him to be released as expeditiously as possible, and we will do that in any court that will hear us.
Why couldn't that be done today? And can you just respond to the government's claims that this is about his views not being in line with national security? Can you legally speak to us about that?
Yeah, the government has basically admitted that they're punishing him for his views that are contrary to the government's views. And that's just an obvious piece of authoritarian logic that we cannot tolerate as long as we live in a democracy. It's totally unacceptable for him and for others.
The government's attorney said in the courtroom that it thinks the proper venue, the proper jurisdiction is either Louisiana or New Jersey, but not New York. Why?
The government is claiming, and you know, this is really a question for the government, but the government is claiming that because at the time he filed a habeas corpus petition in this court, he was already in New Jersey. They had already moved him to New Jersey as part of their plan, again, to move him 1,000 miles away to Louisiana, to take him away from this court, from his lawyers, from his support network. And you know, of course, the goal in all of this is to silence not just Mahmud, but to silence anyone who will speak in defense of Palestinian lives and rights. And clearly, as you can see by the thousands of people who have come out, not just today, but this past week, that is backfired. People are not silenced. People are not bowed in any way, shape, or form. And this idea that the movement in support of Palestinian lives is somehow driven and supported mainly by foreigners and non-citizens and individuals who are marginalized is clearly false. It is an American movement, and of course there are non-citizens and green card holders as well. But it is mainstream, as you can see from the diverse crowd that has come out, not just here today, but campuses nationwide for the past year.
The government says they have dire. Do you think it could be planned?
What is the judge asking of you now, sir?
Your client that he organized protests where Hamas propaganda was distributed. Can you guys address that?
The government's position is that Mahmud has views that are similar to Hamas, namely that Mahmud believes in Palestinian human rights and the end to an ongoing genocide. And it is for that reason, as the White House and the Department of Homeland Security have said, that he has been arrested, detained, and potentially removed. So it's their disagreement with his viewpoint, not any remotely scintilla of security threat that's driving this. Again, it's about repression. It's not about security.
I would add that, you know, whatever flyers the White House spokesperson may have been talking about, that has certainly not been the government's position in court. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind, that the White House spokesperson says a lot of things that are unsubstantiated, not just on this case. I would pay attention to what they actually, you know, put forward in court.
Can you speak to what Mahmud is doing, how he's been in court, or been in Louisiana?
I mean, as you can imagine, these are very difficult circumstances. Mahmud and his wife, I mean, the last thing they expected was for something like this to happen. They had every reason to expect stability. He's a lawful permanent resident. She's a U.S. citizen. They're about to welcome their firstborn child next month. That's what they were thinking about, not, you know, this scenario where he's abducted, coming home at night, and you know, rendered to a location 1,000 miles away by the U.S. government on account of his speech. In light of that, you know, Mahmud, of course, is a fighter. He's been a prominent advocate for Palestinian rights. He's equally unbowed. He's in good spirits considering these circumstances, and he looks forward to being back here at home in New York.
What are the immediate next steps? Immediate next steps?
The question is about immediate next steps. We will be filing amended papers demonstrating joined by our colleagues from the ACLU and the New York Civil Liberties Union, filing amended papers that substantiate in more detail the unlawful nature of his detention, and thereafter we'll pursue an expedited schedule to have the court hear his demand that his detention is unlawful and that he should be released. And we will also be dealing with the government's claim that this court is not the proper venue, and largely at the same time over the next week.
What would you say to understanding legally why this is, you're saying what they're saying publicly versus what's happening in court? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What is the legal piece here, what the government is explaining to why they're doing?
The government, as far as we understand it, is relying on a rarely used provision in immigration law to justify the detention of a lawful permanent resident in his placement and removal proceeding. It is a provision that basically says that if the Secretary of State determines that a non-citizen's presence or activity in this country poses a serious risk of adverse foreign policy consequences potentially, that person can be processed for removal. Now, of course, that provision is not only rarely used, it is certainly not intended by Congress to be used to silence dissent. In other words, the times that it has been used to, for example, prohibit the visas for folks who have, people who have interfered with democracy in their home countries, former officials. Those are the kinds of scenarios where you see that law used. It is not intended to be used to silence pro-Palestinian speech or any other speech that the government happens to dislike. And for that reason, we believe that this case is not going to set the precedent that the government wants it to set, whether it's in federal court or an immigration court. And you already know just by looking behind you that it's not having the effect that the government wants it to have on, people's solidarity with Palestinians.
Okay, last question. Last question. Sorry, last question.
Yeah, so the question was whether we can confirm that he sent an email to the president of Columbia University the night before he was arrested and detained to basically put the university on notice that he was feeling unprotected by the university and that he was worried about detention by ICE and doxing and actions by private actors. He was in fear for his life and well-being. That is accurate. He did send that email to the head of Columbia University, and I think his email raises an important question. This is a university that has spent the better part of the last year talking about its duty to protect students and to keep them safe. But in a scenario where numerous students are being approached by ICE on Columbia's campus, and one Columbia student, Mahmud Khalil, has been effectively disappeared by U.S. government agents, again, on Columbia's property, the university has been remarkably absent and silent.
Student at Florida, one more question, please. Student at Florida, one more question, please.
Thank you all. We're going to wrap up here. For any questions regarding details about today's speakers, you can come to me or Jen here. And I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank all of the people who are out there in the crowd listening. And I want to remind everyone that the family has asked for privacy at this time. Thank you.
Last year's for today, but for stories of this country.
So let's go. We want justice. You say how? We want justice. You say how? Release Mahmud right now. Release Mahmud right now. We want justice. You say how? We want justice. You say how? Release Mahmud right now. Release Mahmud right now. We want justice. You say how? We want justice. You say how? ICE stop our campus now. ICE stop our campus now. Let's give it up for our lawyers.
Thank you so much for being here and all the support you have shown Mahmud and his family. It means so much to them, and it means a lot to us as well, and it means a lot to all the other people out there who are affected by this. There are people who don't have Mahmud's profile, who are being targeted right now, who also need your support, and who also need your support in the coming days. There's no decision yet from the judge. We are still working to get Mahmud released as quickly as possible. That's the TLDR of it. We're working. He's not released, but there will be updates, and we will be sharing those with you throughout social media, and etc. And again, just want to thank you all for being here. We've said this before, but this is to target people for their speech. This is to target people and to silence them and to marginalize them and to make people feel like they can't stand up to the government. And it is so important that we are out here because the people in there also need to know that we're watching. That there are people who will have their back if the government comes for their jobs. So I just want to thank you so much, and Mahmud's family is really appreciative, and I'm going to pass it off to my colleague Sheza.
I understand that you all had some trouble hearing and understanding what was happening inside, so at organizers' requests, I'll give a little bit of an update, and I'll try to keep it brief. We went in there with the primary objective of moving the fight forward to bring Mahmud back to New York so that we can fight his case here and get him released back to his 8-month pregnant wife, back to his amazing community, back to all of you. What we did today is we set a schedule. We made clear that this is going to have to be hashed out in the days to come. And that's what's going to happen. So over the course of the next week, we will be fighting to bring him back here, fighting to keep this case in this court, and ultimately fighting to have him released. That's the update. And I will pass it off to my colleague Ramzi, who argued on behalf of Mahmud today.
Thank you for that rousing welcome.
Love you, man.
Love you back, and really that's the only thing I have to say. I just want to thank all of you and express not just my admiration for your courage and your persistence in showing up for Mahmoud, for the rights and lives and dignity of the Palestinian people in Gaza and beyond, for everything that you all have been doing for as long as this tragedy, this genocide has been going on. And the last thing I'll say is it doesn't matter how long this fight is going to last, because we know, and more importantly, Mahmoud and his family knows that you are with him, and that is a huge source of sustenance and courage, and that's what's going to enable us to keep doing this for as long as we need to until
Free Mahmoud Khalil! 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 We have more from the amazing legal team defending our brother Mahmoud Khalil.
Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Samat Sisay. I am an attorney at the Center for Constitutional Rights.
Hi everybody, my name is Yala Shamas, also with the Center for Constitutional Rights.
CCR is extremely appalled by what has happened to Mahmoud, and also what unfortunately could happen to many other students who are speaking out on behalf of Palestinian rights, protesting the genocide happening in Gaza, and saying that the United States government is complicit in that genocide. Speaking out against what the Trump administration is doing does not give them the right to disappear our people.
And to be clear, this starts with speaking out for Palestinian rights, but we know that Palestine is and functions as a canary in a coal mine, that it is because of the previous administration and long-standing anti-Palestinian bipartisan support for anti-Palestinian measures that we find ourselves here today. And we need to fight as hard as we can for Mahmoud because of what this portends. The invocation of these draconian provisions in the law that say simply that we will deport somebody because we disagree with their opinions, that their opinions do not align with our foreign policy views, is terrifying and should scare us all. So we will keep fighting for Mahmoud and anybody else that is subjected to these draconian laws. Thank you all for being here.
Are we going to keep the pressure up? Are we going to keep the pressure up? The legal team is going to keep fighting in the courts. But I want to know if you're going to keep fighting in the streets. Only the movement of the people can defeat these fascists in the White House. That's right. Only the movement of the people can defend our rights. Only the movement of the people can free our prisoners. So we want to know again, are you going to keep the pressure up? Because the battle to release Mahmoud Khalil does not end today. It continues tomorrow until we get his freedom. But we also know, even when Mahmoud Khalil is released, the struggle has to continue. We have to keep up the fight against this government of the billionaires. This fight also means that we have to stay organized. So we're going to close this rally now, but we're not telling you to go home. We're telling you to go get organized. Follow the Palestinian Youth Movement. Follow the People's Forum. Come to our volunteers organizing meeting next Monday, 6:30 p.m. We have to stay organized and we have to stay together. Thank you for coming out today.
The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. I believe that we will win. 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 And say it loud and say it clear. Say it loud and say it clear. ICE now, welcome here. ICE now, welcome here. Say it loud and say it clear. Say it loud and say it clear. ICE is now, welcome here. ICE is now, welcome here. New York City, you will see. New York City, you will see. Mahmoud Khalil will be free. Mahmoud Khalil will be free. New York City, you will see. New York City, you will see. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. And from the sea to the river. From the sea to the river. Palestine will live forever. Palestine will live forever. Palestine will live forever. Palestine will live forever. In our thousands, in our millions. We are all Palestinians. In our millions, in our billions. We are all Palestinians. We are all Palestinians. We are all Palestinians. Now! Justice! Now! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut